Hi, it's Amy, founder of Indigo Junction and amybarrickman.com. I'm here today to share some ideas for Mother's Day. Mother's Day with mother of pearl buttons. That theme started originally when I was collecting vintage images and vintage content for my book, Vintage Notions. So this book is a story of a women's institute from the 1920s, and it's their lessons, their patterns, and their testimonials of the coursework they took through a correspondence school that was founded by Mary Brooks Picken. Well, in the book, we have not only buttons on the cover, but on the end sheet, I'll share that with you because it's kind of cool. And you can see some mother of pearl buttons over here. And then in the January chapter of the magic pattern, which is a pattern to make an apron from a man's dress shirt, you can see this graphic of the gentleman with his shirt buttons. So I continued to collect buttons, and that led me to write my buttonware book. And in this book, I have shared different projects, whether they be wearables or jewelry. The book's title is The Art of Making Creative Adornments and Embellishments. And I'm wearing one of those that's in the book. This is a pendant that uses a couple mother of pearl buttons and a little embellishment of a pearl bead. So that's a fun one. And then I'm going to move on and show you some other projects from the book. And then we'll get into some history and the graphic images that you can make cards with and do some other creative things. So here's an example of, well, first of all, let me show you some mother of pearl buttons that are really beautiful. I wanted to start out with this amazing button that is a gigantic mother of pearl button. So this button, I think I grabbed it at an antique show or thrift estate sale. It is showing you the different variations of colors. So mother of pearl can be more of a gray, a taupey color, or the traditional cream or off-white that you see here. And I think you can see some of the detail in that button, just how gorgeous these are and how there's so many different designs to find, and that you can add a combination of different buttons that makes something really special and unique. So this first necklace you can see is just one of those combinations of various shapes and sizes of mother of pearl buttons, and then they're strung with a leather cording, and then a clasp is attached. So that's one style. We've also, here's a fun fabric cuff. You can always make a fabric cuff to put your mother of pearl buttons on. And this one I'm going to show you has just a nice giant mother of pearl clasp and loop to wear that. The one I'm wearing, I don't want to forget to share that. This one has examples where we did little touches of beads with each stack of mother of pearl buttons. So stacking the buttons is a technique that's used throughout the buttonware book. And you can see here on my ring that this ring is one of the projects in the book, and it uses elastic, and then buttons are stitched on top of the elastic. We also have a wire version in the book that you can create. You could see that here. And I love the little touch of the red bead on top. Somebody said it looked like a little cake earlier. We also have examples of just a button pendant. And here is one you can see where the iridescent of the green is really gorgeous with the beads that were applied around the edge of this stacked style. So keep all those ideas in mind so you can make button jewelry. Where did these buttons come from? Billions of them were created back in the 1920s and beyond. Well, this is kind of where they started. I have in my collection this shell that actually is an example of how the buttons were essentially mined out of clams that came out of the Mississippi River. That's where many, many button factories in Iowa along the Mississippi produce these buttons. And some of the names of the button companies, there's the Hawkeye Button Company and the American Button Company, and they all had different graphics that were part of their the charm of their brand. And so I've collected the original button cards. This is an example of one in my collection, and I love thinking of the Bluebirds of Happiness. And on the back of this one, you can see that the domestic wash buttons. So these buttons were so durable that they were used for apparel that was washed and produced at a huge volume. And what we did with this, just to show you what you can craft, you can find this printable image. So we printed it here, and then we applied it to this cute tag. You can see where we stitched. And then we're just going to add a backing to it and write a little enclosure note and glue it to the back. So that's a fun tag for, maybe a gift bag, Happy Mother's Day, just, birthday wishes. You can do anything with these. These two are, so that one is for sale on amyberkman.com in the sewing images category. You'll see in our image library if you're looking for it. These two images are the images that are available at no charge or for free on the site. And I love the mermaid buttons as well as this wonderful graphic, appropriate buttons. You're probably reading it backwards just because of the way I'm filming, but you can see the mother and her darling little children, a little retro graphic. So we not only made a tag with this image, but I wanted to show you a card that we made. So again, you're just printing the image. You can crop it any way you like we cut off the appropriate when we printed this one. But here you can see where we printed the image larger, because that's what you're able to do once you download it. You can copy and paste and enlarge. And we thought how fun to find a fabulous button that would just match, and we'd be able to layer over and stitch it onto the card. And you can see here we use the pink thread. Now you can either stitch through the card, or you could try just to stitch the button like this and glue it on. That's another way you can do this. But this is a fun graphic for Mother's Day, one of my favorites. And then here we have another one that I thought I'd share that's for sale on the site. This says Romper Pearls, and the two little kids playing in their darling sunsuits or cute little vintage outfits with their dolls and toys. So those are available again at amyberkman.com. And I also recently on the site put up a blog post that has more about the history of the Mother of Pearl button. It gives you links to all the images I've shared today in the video. And it also has a link to the Buttonware PDF book that you can either download, or if you're interested, the Vintage Notions book and the Buttonware book are available at amazon.com, or you could ask a local quilt or fabric store if they might order the book. So again, Mother of Pearl button for Mother's Day was our theme, and we do many different events on amyberkman.com related to Vintage Notions. It's all about collecting, curating, and finding vintage treasures to inspire your modern makes. So I hope you'll sign up for my newsletter and follow along on Instagram at Amy Berkman Studio. I also have a Vintage Notions Facebook group. It's called Vintage Made Modern. And again, that's another place that I share free images as well as things I find when I travel to shows, to estate sales. So again, if you're interested and you want to share some of what you have, that's what the fun of it too. Many of the members share from their collections, and we learn from each other. So again, amyberkman.com. When you sign up for our newsletter, you will also get this PDF. I didn't want to forget to share it with you. So this is the welcome collection, and in it you'll receive these fun labels that you can print, and again, you could use these as tags for Mother's Day, or make Mother's Day cards. I went into the grocery store recently and all the Mother's Day cards were sold out already, since we're not able to, shop as much these days. So again, making a card this year might be a fun idea. This is an example of some of the other images in the collection, the free collection when you sign up. Again, really fun recipe card. Could have images to use for Mother's Day card. Just pure, so appropriate. And the last item is a to-do list and a grocery list that you can print and use. So along with that, there is a pattern for a crop jacket that's a magic pattern that you receive. And we'll continue to share all of this wonderful vintage inspiration that can be so much fun to incorporate it into your modern making. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.